So today we'll have a look at the new FM voice from Vult. This is called Opulus. There are two versions of it. We will look at everything. We will go through all of the different features. I want to start with some of the basic features, right? We have two oscillators or two operators, right? Each with a level control, each with an envelope, right? And different features. We can also change the ratio and everything. Just to show you the basic functions, I have here my MIDI keyboard. Connected, of course, it's also polyphonic. Right, so basically, oscillator operator 1 will modulate operator oscillator 2. Right, so when I start bringing in the levels, and again, we can change the envelopes. Right, for each of the oscillator or operator. We can change the wave shape of each of them, right? And you can see this here on the screen. Right, we can change also the envelope exponential or linear. We can change the ratio, of course, right? The multiplication of the frequency. And by that, of course, change the sound. Add feedback to the modulator. Right, and we have also velocity control. Right, I have already velocity here connected, and we can set the amount of how much velocity we want actually to affect each of the oscillators. Right, so if I turn this all the way just to the modulator, to oscillator 1, right, we can get different timbres. I can add a bit also to oscillator 2. We have even built-in reverb, Vult style. This is a very nice sounding voice. There are many more features that I want to show you, but here I have first a small example here, just to show you how quickly, right, how easily you can get quite interesting sounds even without all of the extra features. So what I have here Anima, also from Vult, sequencing one Opulus. By the way, I will just mention the teleport modules that I'm using here. As you can see, I have here, for example, for the clock, I have here for audio, so it's just for teleporting the cables, the patch cables, just so they are not getting in the way, so it's the patch is a bit clearer and we can see everything. So again, I have Anima, right, also from Vult, also a new module, sequencing one Opulus, right. I have here one leakage, which is basically sample and hold, modulating the velocity of the modulator, right, of the oscillator 1. So sometimes the sound will be brighter, sometimes it will be darker. Right, and I have here another leakage, another sample and hold, modulating the reverb, the space. There are two modulation slots. You can basically route anywhere and modulate whatever you want. So here I'm modulating the space. Right, I'm sending a copy of this voice to a delay, to Corona Block 2. Right, here I have also a sort of an arpeggio. I'm sequencing it with a phrase sequencer from Impromptu. Again, another Opulus is the voice. Let me just solo this for a second. Right, really nice woody sound. I have here random modulation, basically with a Bernoulli gate with chances that will randomly output gates. Right, those gates are basically taking the multiplication of the carrier of oscillator 2 up, so sometimes you will get an octave up. Right, just like this. And I'm also using an envelope, right, to control the velocity of both oscillators, so you can hear this voice is coming in and out. If I take this out, this is without the envelope. And now with it has this rhythm to it. Right, so together with the other voice. Now I'm also sending a copy of this ARP to a delay which is being modulated by caudal, again also Vult. Right, so also the delay time is being modulated, so we get this nice wobbly. Now we can also add some movement to the sound by adding tremolo and vibrato for each of the oscillators. Right, so here I have this sound. Right, and we can add some movement to this. So in the right-click menu we have many options, but you also have tremolo 1 and vibrato 1. So let's add, for example, some vibrato. We have 4 different stages, vibrato for the modulator for oscillator 1. Right, already you can hear this movement. Let's add some tremolo to oscillator 2. Maybe even more. Right, and also some vibrato to oscillator 2. Right, so we can really add. Right, so we can really add some movement to the sound. I have here again another example. Right, again, this is perfect for chords and pads and all sorts of things. I have here the Aaron static modules. So one will set the scale and one we can sequence chords with, right? And this is exactly what I'm doing here with the ADDR sequencer. You can see I'm sequencing the different chords. This is, we send the polyphonic signal to uOpulus. Right, from there I'm sending the sound or the voice to Flame, which is distortion, analog distortion, from Vult, and Freak, which in this case is a stereo low-pass filter. And you can see this square here, this yellow square. I can control the cutoff point with my MIDI controller, which will sound like this. You can hear the movement. Lovely sound. I have here also a bass voice with another uOpulus. I'm using the bass module from Sively, which will take those chords and will output the bass notes. Right, this is sequencing another uOpulus. By the way, just to have it droning, just to have it always on, I'm sending offset to the gate input, so now it will be always on. Right, this is how it will sound like. Very nice bass, and I can control the FM amount, the level of the first oscillator, again with my MIDI controller. And when I'm doing this, the sound will also go to a delay. So I have here chronoblob 2, so I can do this. Right, and another example with vibrato and tremolo. I have here another uOpulus. In this case, I will play it with my MIDI keyboard. I will just make sure that the other sound is muted. Right, I can play it with my MIDI keyboard. Again, I can control the FM amount with my MIDI controller. This is going through some delay, so I'm just going to play this a bit and listen to the movement with the tremolo and the vibrato. Another feature that is great for creating all sorts of different percussive sounds is the ability to detune the oscillators from one another. Right, so here I have this. And again, in the right-click menu, we can detune each of the oscillators. So even if I go to 0.1, right, already we get something a bit more interesting, a bit more bell-like. Right, which is quite interesting. So here I have another example. I have here Lepsus, which is the non-Euclidean sequencer from Vult. Sequencing Opulus here. Again, I have them detuned, I have the oscillators detuned, so it's creating this percussive bell-like sound. This is going through some delay, it will sound like this. Right, and I have some modulation coming from quincunx, modulating the velocity of the modulator, but also the reverb, the space. Right, another voice I have here is also being sequenced by Lepsus, right? But as you can see, there is also an envelope output. And again, in the right-click menu, you can choose which envelope will go to this output. In this case, it's envelope 1. You can see this here on the scope, right? And I'm sending Opulus to a filter, to tangents, and I have this envelope modulating, opening the filter and adding even more percussiveness to this sound. So it will sound like this. Oh yeah. Right, again, also here, the oscillators are detuned just to create this inharmonic percussive sound. I have here another voice. This is more glitchy, lots of random modulation here on the delay and also random notes. Right, all sorts of the delay is also being frozen. I also have modulation of the send reverb here on the mixer. You can see this here. Right, and I'm using the meld module for this. Right, so it will sound like this. Yeah. Another voice, another percussive voice. This one I'm sending to Jorus, which is the chorus from Vult, Debriatus for some crunchiness. Again, Freak with a stereo filter, and again I'm using the envelope to open the filter to add more percussiveness to this, and Caudal is adding movement to a lot of things here. It will sound like this. I hope you're ready for this. Oh yeah. And another voice that I have here just for fun is a sort of a burst of notes. We have a reburst again in VCV2. This is sequencing another Opulus. Now we don't have to use Opulus only as an FM synth, it can also be an additive synth. Here we have the mode knob, right? And have a look here, it says FM. When I click it once, it says add, and this is for additive mode. You can change this also in the right-click menu. And now each oscillator is separate, they will not modulate each other, or oscillator 1 will not modulate oscillator 2, right? So now we have oscillator 2, I can change the multiplication, can change the shape, right? And we have oscillator 1 as well, right? That I can change separately, and again I can add them to one another and create a new sound. Right, so we can use them also as an additive synth voice, adding the oscillators to one another. Again, I have here an example. I have here Opulus again in add mode, and what I'm doing here, I'm using quincunx to sequence the frequency multiplication. Maybe you can see this here. You see it's changing here, so the multiplication, the sequences, the voices basically will jump up and down in frequency. Right, which is quite interesting, and this is going through a filter which is being modulated randomly and some delay. Right, so you can hear the voices, both oscillators separately are jumping up and down in frequency. Again, in additive mode, each of them is separate. So here I have another example. I have here a bass voice, and what I'm doing, I'm mixing two Opulus modules. Both of them are in additive mode with different multiplications. This is a face, right? So basically we have 4 oscillators being mixed together into a chorus. This is again Joe's from Vult, and I'm controlling the pitch of this sequence and also of the bass, and controlling the pitch with the 12 key from Impromptu. Right, so if I unmute this, oh, this is nice. Right? So we have 4 oscillators in this case being added together into one voice. Here I have another example. I have here a sort of a sequence, again sequencing it from the phrase sequencer, again an additive voice, right? And in this case what I'm doing, again, since we have separate controls for each oscillator now, oscillator 1 will not modulate oscillator 2, so we can control the levels also separately. So this is exactly what I'm doing here. I have an out of phase LFO. I can show you this maybe on the scope. Right, so this will be one LFO, this will be the second one. You can see when one goes up, the other one goes down, and vice versa. Right, so this is modulating the levels of both oscillators. So one will come in, the other one will come out, and they are set to different multiplications. And this is a sequence. Maybe I can solo this. Right? So everything together. So the main feature of Opulus, this is the reason why we are all gathered here, is the morph function, right? We can basically save presets and morph between them. Now, another cool thing that Opulus has, that Vult created, if you randomize Opulus either from the right-click menu or Control-R, right, you will most of the time get interesting results, right? So I'm just going to randomize this a few times, and let's see. Right, this we can save to slot 1, basically long press and save, and we have 4 slots like this. Right, let's see. And another voice, and another randomizing, and another preset, right? And like this we can save 4. Right, and now if I activate the morph here with the morph button, basically we can now morph between those presets through this CV input, right? So I'm going to use an LFO, for example. You can see how it's moving. Right, and this is great for all sorts of different drones you can use. You will see this also in a second. Also sequencers, random voltage to move between those presets. Now another module that comes with this update is the uOpulus, which is basically like Opulus but without the controls, only with this morph and random functions. Right, so if I play this, right, we get just a sine wave. I can randomize it with this button. Right, and again save it to a preset. And save again up to 4. This was a nice one. Right, and again we can morph between them. You can use an LFO, you can use a sequencer. Right, and create all sorts of different sounds. So uOpulus is also available for free, and it also comes with this update. So here I have a few examples. Right, I have a few presets here saved on uOpulus, and I'm using Anima, the sequencer from Vult, to sequence between them. So it's gating Opulus, but it's also sequencing the morph, and this is going through some delay. It will sound like this. More of a percussive sound without the delay. Right, basically sequencing between different sounds. I have here also a sort of a pad or some chords. I have the note sequencer from JW sequencing polyphonically another Opulus, again with some presets saved. In this case I'm sequencing them or moving between them randomly with sample and hold here from leakage. This is going to Freak from Vult, stereo filter, and I have some sidechaining here with the new, it's also a new module, Oppressor Pro from Flag. So sidechaining it, you will see soon enough with what. You can hear the movement of the presets. Right, and what I have here, I have a sort of a macro controller with knobs also from Vult. I have it once opening the filter and once opening a VCA. So I have a copy of this voice going to a VCA and a delay. So when I open this knob, the filter will open and the sound will go to the delay, and I can do this with my MIDI controller again. Right, and we get basically this. Again, this is a macro controller that will open the filter and the VCA together. Really nice. Here I have another sequence, this time with uOpulus. Right, again randomizing, saving presets. In this case I'm sequencing everything with Squonk. It has also some delay sequenced. Let me solo this maybe. Right? And I have drums. I have a kick from Tremolo, hi-hat from Tremolo 2, and a snare or sort of claps from Tremolo. There is some vibratos, everything is sequenced from the gate sequencer from Impromptu, and the chords are side-chained to this kick. Right. I have here another voice, a sort of something solo line or something that I can play. And before I play it, I will just say thank you for watching. This was it. Opulus, yes, indeed, lots of sounds you can get with it, lots of interesting features. Again, it's available for free. If you want to support Vult, consider buying one of his commercial collections. He has also hardware that you can enjoy. So again, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Cheers.